Welcome to the introduction to our syllabus. Hopefully you've all had the chance to download it. It'll be useful to either have it printed out, or if you want to be paperless, you can follow along in a window next door as we go through it. So some quick things. So if you look at the first page, you can just see some details about how to find me. My office is the room right next door to our classroom. It's Live Oak 1228. And you can try and give me a call there. It's probably not a good idea to leave me a voicemail there because I often don't see the little light on my thing telling me that I have voicemail. The best way to reach me is either by direct email or sending me a message through Moodle. If you do send me a message, you should know that I'm on campus. I leave relatively early, between 3 and 4 in the afternoon, depending upon the day, and go home, play with my kids, and then I get back on after they go to sleep. You can expect to hear from me at weird hours if you send me something in the early afternoon. Next section, some fine print that our department makes us put in there. But the really important part is over here. This is a class for you, for future teachers. And I hope you already realize that teachers are absolute superstars. They have a lot of responsibility to be really positive role models for their students, and that can be a little bit hard. There's a lot of things you have to practice, and I have some high expectations for all of us for learning and for integrity. But the important thing is that it's absolutely worth it. Think about how much of an impact you can have on so many children's lives and how much fun it can be in the process. How are we going to accomplish it? Well, our objectives here come in basically 3 different categories. Well, it is a science class, so of course we're going to be learning some scientific ideas, and in particular the ones that are most useful to you as future teachers in the state of California with the science content standards that we have here in the state. We're also going to be learning about how science works, and some of that you already probably have a great understanding of, and some of it I'm going to present to you in a little bit of a different way. I'm going to tell you that science is about making mistakes. It's about doing things wrong and getting things totally backwards and then correcting those mistakes, fixing things, and trying to set up that climate of scientific discovery and even academic discovery as a place where we get stuff wrong and then learn from it and fix it is going to be a big mission for the class. The last section is something you don't typically see in a science class, but is really important for a class for future teachers. We're going to be focusing on the learning process, and so we're going to be doing a certain set of activities that will help you understand a little bit more about how you learn, how to best present information, how children think about science, and stay tuned for more details about how to make the most out of that section of the course. Another thing to know about, of course, we've talked already about this during our first class session about our team-based environment, and it is an important learning goal for this class for you to work as a team. And lastly, just a brief request. We have a relatively short amount of time together, and I'd like to make the most out of it and keep as focused as possible. Some of you some of all of us actually, are glued to our electronic devices a lot of the time, but there's also a time to put them away, and that time is our class periods. But also I have this fun little video you can watch here that will help you see there are a lot of times that you might want to be off your cell phone, and maybe you can use our class time to start practicing for those really important times like this.
Has this ever happened to you? According to a Zoosk survey, 1 in 3 dates ends early because somebody is absorbed with their mobile phone. If you're on a date, don't sell yourself short.
Next up on this page, let's start at the bottom for a moment. I just want to give credit to a couple things. The class that we're going to be taking this semester is pretty redesigned, but it's not entirely new. It's based on some wonderful classes that have been done both at San Diego State called Physical Science of Everyday Thinking, where they've developed some nice guided inquiry activities that really help make science come alive and be really comprehensible, understandable to a lot of people. So I'm looking forward to sharing those activities with you. But also a class called Physics for Future Presidents at UC Berkeley, where there's really a drive to teach you that science is really important for societal problems, and our future leaders best have an understanding of some scientific concepts if they're going to make intelligent decisions. So I'm going to constantly drive to get you some socially relevant content throughout the course. So we're going to be balancing these two things of making sure you understand science in the classroom context, but also making sure that you can take that out into the world and do a lot more things with it. You're probably also interested in this section here about grades. You can read that section about some of the different ways that you'll be assessed. some of the different components that we're going to be going through in the second part of this video here: quizzes and daily reports, homework, and the make your own textbook project, our peer assessment process, and finally the final exam. This section here, also required by our department, standard thing, what's in the catalog about those university rules, we do really follow them here. So please be aware that, it's going to be hard to make some exceptions, and it's going to be hard for all of us. It's going to be a long semester. It's quite reasonable that during the course of that time you might miss a day. And this happens to teachers all the time. Maybe they get sick and they have built into their policies a process of leave days and personal days, and we have the same in our class. A typical teacher in the K-12 system gets about 10 to 12 days of sick leave out of 180. We're going to use about the same percentage, and each of you will get 2 leave days, and during those leave days you can not show up to class, no questions asked. You don't have to tell me why. It can be any reason at all, and there's absolutely no penalty for the work you miss. If there was a homework assignment that was due, you don't have to turn it in. If there was a quiz that day, you will not be penalized. So it's a pretty good system. Some of you are thinking, well, I'm really diligent and I'm going to make sure to get there every class period, and what a waste. It turns out it's not going to be a waste, because just like if you are a teacher that does not use your leave days, when you retire you will get cash. I will not be providing you cash, but I will buy back your leave days for a generous amount of points to those people that save them up, so that it will make it worth your while. Over here, a lot of people have something like this in their syllabus about academic honesty and integrity, but I want to make sure I draw your attention to the first part. This is not just something in my syllabus that we ignore. I typically have referred several cases to the Vice President of Student Affairs at CSUN each semester, and it's a big pain. So I am asking you to please help me avoid this process in the future. And so the problem is that I have a zero tolerance rule for academic dishonesty in the class. That's because all of you are going to be teachers, and I expect that you should be setting a very high example for your students. The minimum penalty for violating this rule is a partial grade reduction to your final course grade. So if you are sitting there at that happy A- level and you have even a very minor infraction that we work through, that means your grade is going to go from an A- down to a B+ at minimum. And if the infraction is more severe, we will work up to a larger penalty. To help give you some guidance, you can read what does it mean to be working together. It's a team-based class, but some specific things there about collaboration. And then I want to go through another example here of, in this particular thing I asked on an assignment, in your own words, there's a key, what causes a click on the Geiger counter? And I had 2 students that actually wrote almost exactly this. It's a very sophisticated answer about radiation entering a tube causing ionization. All interesting stuff, but it turns out that that stuff came from this website right here. And I talked to the students, and one student told me, well, I didn't copy it verbatim. What I did is I copied it, and then I made it into my own words. And what they meant by that is they took these words here, they crossed them out, they changed instantly to the word quickly, they changed zoom to go, produce further they changed to make more, and they removed the word among over here. Now, is that your own words, or is that plagiarism? Remember that definition: plagiarism is the unauthorized use or close imitation of the language or thoughts of another and representing them as your own original work. So could this person have done this and turned it in and gotten a good score? Absolutely. All they would have needed to add is the citation saying, I found this information on this site and it says it really clearly and I really resonated with the way it talked about it. Here's where you can find that actual original source. But they didn't, and it became plagiarism. They probably wouldn't have gotten full credit, mind you, if they didn't try and do a little bit more of their own thinking on it, but certainly wouldn't have gotten in any trouble and would have gotten a very high score for finding an accurate answer to that